we're going to take a look at the pancreas as it relates to the endocrine system. So first off, we understand that the pancreas is a really, really important organ, and it actually has several different functions. First, it's got endocrine functions, and it also has exocrine functions. Those exocrine functions are going to be the part of the GI tract where they're secreting the digestive enzymes. I encourage you to check out the lesson for the GI tract so you can know specifically what the pancreas does in the GI tract. But for this lesson, we're going to focus on the specific functions of the endocrine system for the pancreas. Now, first off, we look at its location. So it's located in the retroperitoneal portion of the abdomen. So this is part of the abdominal cavity towards the rear. Now, it's located inferior and posterior to the stomach. So that means it's going to be down and behind it. Pancreas has several different types of cells, and it's really important to know both the endocrine system and the digestive system. In the pancreas itself, there are these things called pancreatic acini, and these are going to be the exocrine cells. So these are going to be the ones that are responsible for secreting amylase and lipase. But the ones that we're concerned with right now are these things called the islets of Langerhans, or the islet cells, and those are these guys right here. And these are your endocrine cells. And more specifically, we're looking for the insulin secreting cells. So these are the beta cells. This is what we're looking for right now. When we eat, we take in food in forms of carbohydrates, which is glucose, and then proteins, which are broken down into amino acids. What then happens is insulin is secreted, and it helps to drive the glucose and the amino acids into cells for cellular metabolism. Whatever's left over is sent to the necessary tissues for the storage of glycogen and fat. The other thing that happens with insulin is it helps to promote cell growth. It also antagonizes glucagon, so it's actually going to turn glucagon off. Now, there are a couple of different organs that are not responsible or that don't rely on insulin for cellular metabolism. This is going to be the kidneys, the brain, the liver, and red blood cells. They don't require insulin for cellular metabolism. On the islets of Langerhans, there's also another type of hormone called glucagon, and glucagon is found in the alpha cells. Now, glucagon, what ends up happening is we won't eat for a while, and our glucose levels are going to drop. So in that event, glucose is going to be stimulated by glucagon. So it actually stimulates glucose production from several different places. The first one is gluconeogenesis. This is a conversion of glucose from fat and protein. And then there's something called glycogenolysis, which is glycogen being converted to glucose. And this all happens in the liver. This stimulates the release of glucose into the bloodstream, and it's going to drive that blood glucose up, which is good. In the event that this isn't available, it also stimulates the fat breakdown in adipose tissue, and that's going to release fatty acids for energy. Especially after high protein meals where there's not a lot of carbs, it's going to provide those raw materials for gluconeogenesis. Now, there's probably going to seem like there's a struggle between insulin and glucagon, and that's where this hormone called somatostatin comes in. And somatostatin is produced in the delta cells in the pancreatic islets, and that's going to cause so this food intake is going to cause the increased glucose in the forms of carbohydrates. It's going to cause an increase in amino acids from the proteins. And what happens is the somatostatin helps to inhibit the secretion of insulin and glucagon and to provide the balance depending on the body's particular needs at that point. The hormones are really, really important control for glucose control. And what happens is our bodies have to respond in a particular way to these levels of glucose. So when someone has low glucose, the body responds by releasing glucose or hormones to raise the glucose. If the glucose levels are too high, the body will release the hormones to counteract that. So if we look at hyperglycemic hormones, so these are the ones that are going to actually aim to raise glucose levels in the blood. And this is a response to low blood glucose. So these are things like glucagon, growth hormone, also epinephrine, norepinephrine, and glucocorticoids. Now, in the event that the blood sugar levels are too high, what we want to do here is we want to lower the glucose levels. And this is a response to that high blood glucose. And insulin is the primary driver for that. So let's recap. The pancreas has two different functions, the endocrine and the exocrine function primarily, but the one that we were worried about for this lesson was the endocrine functions. The islets of Langerhans are those cells that contain the alpha, beta, and delta cells. Insulin is found in the beta cells, and they are used to drive glucose into the cells for cellular metabolism. Glucagon helps to generate glucose availability, and these are generated in the alpha cells. And then somatostatin is the hormone that helps to provide balance between both glucagon and insulin, and they're found in the delta cells. And that's it for our lesson on the pancreas as it relates to the endocrine system. Make sure you check out all the resources attached to this lesson. Now go out and be your best selves today, and as always, happy nursing.